Hi friends, it's Mr. Alex from Adams Memorial Library, and it's time for another Online Origami Club project. So be sure to grab your Online Origami Club kit, and if you don't have one, you can pick one up right here at the library, either at the children's room desk or through our curbside pickup. Inside is going to be all sorts of paper in different colors and patterns that you can use to make the projects that I'm about to show you. Now, there are just a few things that we're going to need to make our origami lanterns this week, so let me show you what that is. In order to make our origami lantern, we're going to need just a little bit more than usual. This week we're going to need, as always, our practice sheet of paper to get really good at making origami, our final sheet of paper out of our Origami Club kit, a pair of scissors in case our practice paper isn't a perfect square so that we can cut that to the appropriate size, and then your markers, crayons, and other supplies that you're going to use to decorate. Now, the reason we need a little bit extra is because if we're making our lantern and we want to hang it, we're going to need some tape, a piece of string or yarn, and a hole punch. Now, if you don't have a hole punch, there are other ways that you can make holes in your project. You could take your scissors and carefully cut one, or use another method that you happen to have at home. And as always, true origami doesn't use glue or tape. So if you are an origami purist and you want to make sure that it is as authentic as possible, you don't need to get the materials to hang it with, but I think it looks really cool. So let's go ahead and grab that and we'll get started. In order to make our origami lantern, the first thing that we're going to need to do is take the pattern side of our paper that we want to appear on the outside of our lantern and flip it face down on the table. Now, your paper may not have a different pattern on both sides, and that's okay, but since mine does, I want to pick the pattern that I like the most, in this case these awesome dinosaurs, and put it face down on the table. Now, at this point, we're going to quarter our sheet of paper by folding it in half like this, just like that, and then folding it in half again, just like this. And then that, when we unfold it, is going to create the guidelines for our paper lantern. Now, at this point, we're going to perform a fold that is going to essentially be the basis for the rest of our project. We're going to make this similar fold over and over and over again when making our origami lantern. And each time that we make it, we want it to be as precise and as neat as possible because just like a lot of our other origami programs, the folds that we make early on in making our origami lantern are going to build upon each other and affect our future folds. So nice and neatly, we're going to fold all four corners of our origami lantern into the center. Just like this. And it's going to create what sort of looks like a little envelope until we fold our last quarter in. And at this point, we should have a shape that looks like this with all four of our flaps folded into the center. Now we can go ahead and take and sort of round off our project a little bit, and we're going to fold the top and the bottom flaps of our project also into the center, just like this. So at this point, we should have a shape that looks something like this. Then we're going to flip our project over, just like this, and we're going to fold these points into the center as well. So we'll fold this flap here in and this flap here in to make what looks like a square. Now, at this point, we can flip our origami lantern back over to this side, and how you'll know you're on the right side is it should be the side that opens up the most. There are going to be two lines here that split, so this side here and this side here open up, whereas on the flip side of my project, these are solid. They don't open up. So we want to be on the side that opens, just like this, with the two flaps. And now we're going to do the same fold that we did initially, where we're folding each corner into the center of our square, And again, we want it to be pretty exact. So we'll make one fold like this, just going right into the center, and then repeat with all 4 of our corners. And again, we want this to line up pretty well, because if it doesn't, that's going to affect our future folds and how everything else lines up. So we'll go ahead and do that now, just folding each of our corners in, making them nice and neat with nice sharp folds. And once we have something that looks like this, then it is time to turn our project over. And on the front of our project, we're going to see that we have these little flaps here, just like this. And these are what are going to be turned into the tops and bottoms of our lanterns. So we can just take these folds, grab the inside of the flap here, and flatten it out into a rectangle shape. Something that looks like this. So it'll essentially look like you have a little bar across the top of your project. Then we're going to repeat that for the bottom half. So again, we have this flap here, and we're just going to open it up, grab it by the inside, flip it down, and pull it out until it's in a rectangle shape, like that. So again, start out like this, grab the inside of our flap, and pull it down like that. Then we'll crease and flatten it out so that it looks like this. And at this point, our origami lantern is done. It looks really great, and it's all put together. Now, the only problem that you might see is, again, if you're going to hang it, your lantern might be a little poofy and the back layers might stick out a little bit, just like this. So this is where our tape comes in. And again, you don't have to use tape, but I think it helps a lot with hanging it. So we're just going to take a piece of tape or two, and we're going to put it right over the center on the back of our lantern to hold the back end of it together. So just a piece of tape right there. Now, at this point, our origami lantern is done. So you can take your markers, crayons, and other decorating supplies and decorate your origami lantern. You can also take your hole punch and put a hole in the top right up here. And your handy dandy hole punch will help you hang it with a bit of yarn or string. And I'll show you what mine looks like at the end of the video. After some practice, I took the final sheet of paper out of my Online Origami Club kit, and I made this lantern here. I think it turned out pretty great. I even added the piece of tape on the back that we talked about, punched a hole at the top, and threaded some string through so that I can hang it. Now, most importantly, I'd like to know how your origami lanterns turn out. So be sure to send those pictures on over to us at kids@adamslib.org. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, not only to get more updates about awesome origami projects, but also to learn about everything else that we're doing here in the children's room. And as always, happy crafting, everybody.